We're now going to turn to Congresswoman Madeleine Bordallo, who represents Guam in the U.S. House of Representatives. She's not only the first woman ever to represent Guam, I think she may be the first woman to be up here on the stage today, so this is great. Congresswoman Bordallo brings to Congress over 40 years of experience in public service in the executive and legislative branches of the government of Guam and in numerous non-governmental organizations, and she's currently in her 7th term in the U.S. House. She serves as the ranking member on the House Armed Services Subcommittee on Readiness and a member of the Subcommittee on Sea Power and Projection Forces, both of which have rather obvious implications for the matters that we are here discussing today. She's an expert on Guam and on the broader strategic trends throughout the Asia-Pacific region, and serves as both the Vice Chair of the Congressional Asia-Pacific American Caucus and as co-chair of the Congressional China Caucus. So to give a unique perspective on Guam and its role in the rebalance to Asia, please welcome Congresswoman Madeleine Bordallo.
Half a day. How many know what that means? Greetings from Guam. I'd like to thank all of you for the opportunity to speak at this GUASA conference. And I particularly enjoyed the expertise of the panelists that we had today on the Asia-Pacific area, as well as the Assistant Secretary of Defense and Senator McCain, and lastly, Representative Salmon, and I wish to invite him to Guam again. So we'll continue to work on that. Whenever I hear anybody's interested in Guam, we get them out there in a quick hurry. I want to especially thank Juan Carlos Benitez, John Thomas Brown, Joe Arnett, and Carl Peterson, who are with us today, and for their leadership with this particular group. And I also want to welcome, we have a senator from Guam in the audience, Senator San Nicolas from Guam. Where is he? Right there. Thank you, Senator, for being with us. He's from our Guam legislature. And as well as the members of the Guam Chamber of Commerce, who are my good friends, and I've known them for many, many years, and they're so instrumental in helping from the very beginning on this process of moving the Marines from Okinawa to Guam. And in particular, I'd like to welcome Jeff Jones, Jim Atkins, Jerry Paris, Catherine Castro, and we have a former Assistant Secretary of Interior. He's here, Tony Babauta from Guam. Thank you all for coming. Previous GUASA conferences on Guam have highlighted the Marianas' strategic importance to the United States, its security and economic future. Conferences have also highlighted the strategic importance of the Marianas to our regional allies and partners for future training opportunities. These conferences, ladies and gentlemen, occurred at a time where the future of the relocation of Marines from Okinawa to Guam was not clear. And I'm very grateful for the assistance of everyone that I've introduced, particularly people who are from Japan. They are our partners in this very important process. I stand here today with optimism, and I've had it all along for the 12 last years, that we have finally made important strides forward in the relocation of the Marines from Okinawa to Guam. Last year's Defense Authorization Bill removed onerous restrictions on the obligation and the expenditures of the government of Japan, who had direct contributions to the relocation effort. And also, I want to, again, as I mentioned earlier, to thank Japan for these contributions. Additionally, on December 27, 2013, the governor of Okinawa signed the landfill permit that allows for the initial construction of the Futenma replacement facility in Henoko. Both of these events clearly signal that we are finally moving forward with the relocation of Marines from Okinawa to Guam. These events underscore that efforts from GUASA, the CNAS, and others are having a very real effect in getting leaders in Washington to acknowledge the strategic importance of Guam and to take very real steps to demonstrate this strategic importance. For too many years, the rebalance of the Asia-Pacific region was mirrored in question. Is this the right thing to do? Can we afford it? Guam is very small. It may tip over. We can't take our eyes off the Middle East, was another comment made. Well, in my opinion, our eyes should be on every area throughout the world. Recently, I think leaders here in DC and in Congress are really beginning to understand the real challenges of being a world power, and that we must continue to demonstrate our world leadership, including putting real resources and political and diplomatic capital into the Asia-Pacific rebalance without sacrificing other priorities across the globe. As CNAS pointed out in 2012 report to Congress on the U.S. force posture strategy in the Asia-Pacific region, the relocation of the Marines from Okinawa to Guam was the most evident part of the rebalance strategy, and last year's defense bill reaffirms the U.S. commitment to this strategic endeavor. However, challenges will remain to fully realize the security aspects of the U.S. rebalance to the Asia-Pacific region. Last November, the people of Okinawa chose a new governor who has publicly stated his objection to the Futenma replacement facility and has tried to put roadblocks in place to halt or dramatically slow the development of the FRF in the Hinoko location. Further, in the United States, we still face arbitrary budget challenges. This Congress, both the House and the Senate, passed budget resolutions that ultimately maintain sequestration forever. While the Congress has provided temporary relief in additional funds through the Overseas Contingency Operations Account, this does not allow the Department of Defense to plan appropriately and will have significant impacts down the road. I want to go on record to say that I am against sequestration, as well as most members of the House Armed Services Committee. This year's solution will not slow down the rebalance efforts, but it certainly will inhibit the department's ability to plan future actions. Further, as we move towards another presidential election, it is imperative that we continue to highlight the strategic importance of the Marianas so that the rebalance strategy continues to be fulfilled during the next administration. Political changes can create gaps where naysayers of this important strategic initiative can create doubt and raise questions that have been answered time and time and time again. We have to continue to mention how strategic Guam is. But Congress and the administration can take actions to address these challenges to the rebalance strategy. Although the relocation of Marines from Okinawa to Guam has been the link from progress to FRF progress in Okinawa remains important. So grandstanding by the Okinawa governor does not help the situation and can create needless doubt about the entire relocation. As such, I am working with my colleagues in the House Armed Services Committee to make it clear that the Congress supports the 2012 2+2 agreement. That outlines consolidation of facilities and return of lands in Okinawa, as well as outlines the details for the relocation of Marines from Okinawa to Guam. Taking such a step would be the first time that Congress is on record supporting the moves in Okinawa and would reemphasize our commitment to the relocation. Additionally, ladies and gentlemen, I am working with my colleagues to require the Obama administration to develop an implementation plan to support and to sustain the overall rebalance to the Asia-Pacific region. As we get closer to the end of the Obama administration, we must ensure that the strategy endures into the next administration. And that will require ensuring there is clear guidance to the bureaucracy on how they can appropriately resource for this important effort. Unfortunately, I have come to recognize that it will take Congress pushing to get the administration to make this strategy permanent and to get the whole of government approach done right. This is just a quick sampling of some of the efforts that I am undertaking here in Congress to help support the rebalance of the Asia-Pacific region and to further advance the relocation of the Marines from Okinawa to Guam. Looking forward, and as I discussed at the first GUASA conference, as we continue to make progress on relocating Marines from Okinawa to Guam, we must shift our focus to the ultimate long-term benefit of the Marianas, and that is on the capabilities for training. A key to our strategy in the Asia-Pacific region is to forward deployed forces. These forward deployed forces must be trained and ready to respond to a wide range of threats and requirements in very short time frames. We had a very public debate last year on Guam about the Navy's proposal to site the live fire training range on Guam at Northwest Field on Andersen Air Force Base. Our community, despite some objections, clearly appreciated the Navy's efforts to reduce their footprint and establish the live fire training range on federal property. This live fire training range is critical to maintaining individual readiness requirements. However, broader unit and combined level training capabilities need to be enhanced in the Marianas region. One of the significant downfalls of Okinawa is the severe limitations on training capabilities for the Marines. This situation cannot continue if we are to fulfill the true intent and capabilities behind the distributed laydown. If development of the enhanced training complex in the Marianas region is achieved, it will greatly enhance our military's readiness in the region and arguably, more importantly, provide partners with locations to train with U.S. forces. This has great potential for our allies in Southeast and East Asia, who have their own training shortfalls. There is great potential, but the pathway is achieving this goal, and it will not be easy. We must continue to make progress on the relocation of Marines from Okinawa to Guam, and as we begin to discuss the way forward on the Joint Military Training Range concept in the Northern Marianas Islands. Now, these actions are mutually exclusive programs, but sustaining our joint military forces in the Western Pacific will only endure as much as we can provide them with the training facilities that they need now and in the future. I understand that there has been some initial pushback on parts of this joint training plan, but the military must work with the local governments to truly understand their concerns and find solutions that are good for the military and good for the local community. This is achievable, but it will take time, collaboration, and creative solutions. We cannot let the perfect be the enemy of an achievable solution. I am committed to work with my colleagues in Congress, GUASA, and experts in the field to make this plan become a true reality. And as the ranking member of the Readiness Subcommittee, I take the matter of providing our military with the best training capabilities very, very seriously. And inevitably, smaller force must remain ready all the time. Now, I want to say that, again, I appreciate the opportunity to address the GUASA conference. I thank them for putting this meeting together, and thank you all for your attention and commitment to the Asia-Pacific Rebalance Strategy. It's very difficult here in Congress with 540 41 members to convince them that our area is the most important. But I'm making the most of it, folks. And remember, the strategic location of Guam, and not only we're looking at the largest population in our entire global world, right there in the Asia area. So again, I want to thank the members who are here from Japan. I know there are a few of you here. Thank you for your contribution. We are partners with you on this rebalance to the Pacific and the relocation of the Marines from Okinawa to Guam. And I want to thank all the members again. And as we say on Guam, si jus maase. Thank you.